Welcome to the Accumulation Zone. In today's video, I'm going to be showcasing my Scalper Pro trading strategy, and we're going to be testing it on US 30 on a 5-minute chart. Alright guys, let's get started straight away, and I'm going to be showing you every indicator that you need to use this strategy, and I'm going to be showing you the settings for each specific indicator as well. I recently released this free indicator, a session indicator, and you can click on the link in the description, and then you end up on my profile here, and you scroll down to the script section, and here you will find the Session Pro indicator. You click on this indicator, you scroll down a little bit, and then you click on Add to Favorite Indicators. And now it's added to your favorite indicators, and we can work with it. And while you're at it, make sure to give me a little boost for this awesome free indicator. This helps me out a lot. Now that we added the Session Pro indicator to our favorite indicators, we are opening up the indicators window, and right here in your favorites tab, the Session Pro indicator is popping up. We're gonna add this indicator to our chart, and now we have to modify its settings. So let's get started modifying the Session Pro indicator for the strategy. So what we are going to do is we are going to turn off the Asian kill zone, and we don't have to modify the kill zone settings yet. We are changing the opacity here on the show previous day high and low to 0. And we also click here on style and we turn off the labels. Alright, so now we've got the sessions in here. And the most important thing is, when I'm trading, I'm always setting my time zone to the New York time zone. The reason I'm doing this for is because in every country around the world, midnight is gonna be set at a different time. So for example, in Germany, midnight's gonna be in a couple hours, but over in America, midnight's still many hours away. So because the New York session and the American trading session, or the American trading hours, usually brings the most volume into the market, I'm sticking to UTC -4, and that's the setting here for the New York time zone. So what we have to do now. So now we're modifying those kill zone boxes to match up with the New York kill zone that's happening from 8 AM until 11 AM, and to the London kill zone, this blue box here, matching up to 2 AM until 5 AM New York local time. Okay, so now we can see that the London kill zone box starts at 1 AM New York local time in the morning. So, but we want to have it start at 2 AM New York local time. So what we're gonna do, we are going to type in 2 AM here, and we want it to be finished by 5 AM. Alright, and we see that's the London kill zone. Now it's finished at 6. I made a little mistake here. From 2 till 5. And now we're going to look at the New York session, which is starting from, or the New York kill zone, sorry. That's starting from 8 AM in the morning, New York local time, and it's ending at 11 AM in the morning. So right now it's starting at 7 AM. So we are going into the settings, and we are changing this to 8 AM until 11 AM. And let's see, yeah, 11 AM, perfect. So the Session Pro indicator is all set up and ready to go. The next indicator for this 5-minute or 1-minute strategy, basically works on all time frames, is the Scalper Pro version 3.1. So if you are a Accumulation Zone VIP member or just a Scalper Pro member, you will find the Scalper Pro right here in your invite only script section. You click on the Scalper Pro, and we added this one to our chart. And if you don't have access to the Scalper Pro, you can simply go to our website accumulationzone.com and click on free trial here. And by filling out this form, within 24 hours you will get access to the Scalper Pro for a free 10-day trial. So now let's get started modifying the Scalper Pro. So first of all, we're gonna leave those inputs here at default. We are going to uncheck this show outer band box, and we are also turning off the squeeze. We're gonna leave the oversold and overbought bands in here, and we also want to see the trend line. Alright, that's all done, the Scalper Pro settings. And for our last indicator, we are going to use the stochastic RSI, the basic one from TradingView. gonna add this to our chart, and we are modifying the RSI length down to 8 and the stochastic length down to 8 as well. The last indicator we are going to need for the strategy is a EMA, but it's optional. You can also use the VWAP instead of the EMA, but I'm just gonna bring it up. So we're gonna type in EMA here, and we're gonna add the EMA to this chart. We are setting it to a length of 144, and we're giving it a yellow color and make the line a little bit thicker. All right, here we go. So now, after you've got everything set up, what I like to do is I click on those 4 squares here, indicator templates, and I'm clicking on Save Indicator Template. I'm gonna give it a name, and I'm gonna call it US30 Scalper Pro Stock RSI Strategy. Then I'm gonna click on Remember the Symbol, Remember the Interval, and click on Save. And now every time if I'm, for example, closing TradingView completely, I can simply click on Indicator Templates and scroll down till here, yeah, US30 Scalper Pro Stochastic RSI Strategy. And down there it's a little list of the indicators that are used in this template and all the settings you gave those indicators. So for example, the sessions indicator, when the London session is starting, the stochastic RSI modification, everything is going to be saved like it is. So you don't have to bother setting it up every time you starting your work at the chart. So let me get started with our first example here. This is US30 on a 5-minute chart. And usually what we see is that right around New York midnight, which is represented by this gray separator line, we see some consolidation or a range where price is moving within. Sometimes it's bigger. If it's bigger, I usually look for setups on a different symbol, for example, Euro US dollar or Pound US dollar, because usually what's happening is that price is breaking out of this consolidation with a bigger move. Sometimes it's bigger, sometimes it's smaller, but I like to focus myself on the London session, on this London kill zone, which is represented by this blue box, because you can already see that during the New York session, prices sometimes are a little bit more volatile. So first of all, it's not necessary, but it's a nice to have. So I'm usually filtering through 5 or 6 different symbols that I like to trade during the London session that are usually moving big during the London session. That's US oil, that could be US30, US 500, NASDAQ, that could be gold, could be major Forex pairs, it could be some yen pairs, whatever you like to trade. Just do some backtesting by yourself. Use the replay function here by TradingView, and I guarantee you're gonna learn so much by just using this function. Going back, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months and replaying the last 20, 40 or 60 London sessions, and you gonna get a feeling for it. That's the most important thing. If you hear about a new strategy, you just can't like go straight into live trading with this new system. So you have to test it yourself, get a feeling for it before you test it in live market conditions. So we see this consolidation range during the Asian session or the New York midnight. So we saw price consolidating here. Very small body candles means there's almost 0 to no volume in the market at all. So now we are also getting faced with the problem I have with the 200 or 144 EMA. It's nice to filter trades, but sometimes it's just moving too slow because it's an average of 144 or 200 or 50 candles. So that's why I prefer to use the VWAP, and the VWAP is resetting only with the Session Pro indicator at New York midnight. Usually it would reset before the Asian session is starting. So now we are looking for trades within this little London kill zone, represented by this blue box. So the first criteria is we want to see a red Scalper Pro, and we see we have been red on the Scalper Pro basically since midnight. So we've been below the average line on the Scalper Pro, still consolidating here on price, and we want to see price either be below the VWAP or the EMA. It could be either of both. You can really choose that. I backtested it with the VWAP and it's working really well. So what we are looking for basically is a red Scalper Pro and a stochastic RSI cross at least above the 50 level. Ideally, we want to see it above here, roughly above 80. It could be 75, it could be 70. It's really up to the setup, because that's why I'm saying it's really important for you to test the strategy in replay mode for yourself before you use it with real money or even on your demo account or your FTMO challenge. And I passed so far 3 FTMO challenges with this exact strategy. So what I am looking for is a bearish Scalper Pro, which is represented by red, and with the candle coloring function, your candles are also matching up with the Scalper Pro. So we see this little green uptick here, and we see this green candle here, and the rest of those candles all have been red. So like said, we want to see price below the VWAP, and we've got that right here. We had a bearish engulfing candle here, and almost 1, 2, 3 inside bars. So we turned red again, had a bearish crossover on the stochastic RSI, but we are still above the VWAP. So I waited for one more candle, and we see now we closed below the VWAP. The Scalper Pro is still red. And let me draw a little horizontal vertical line here. Right here, this would be my entry position for a short, and I would place my stop loss at the most recent swing high. Maybe give it a little bit more wiggle room. And then I'm looking for a 1 to 1.5 minimum. So you can go for a 2 to 1 risk reward. I tested both, and in the end, let's say with a 2 to 1 risk reward, you have a smaller win rate, but you make a little bit more profit. So if you want to play it safe, I suggest you going for a 1 to 1.5 risk reward, because according to my backtests, there's basically not much difference in profit and net profit afterwards, and your win rate is higher, which is great for your overall motivation and for your mindset. If you're losing too many trades, the probability is very high that you are just going to throw the strategy into the trash bin of all the other 50 strategies you've already seen on YouTube. So we got our 1 to 1.5 here, and what you can do is here, after it hit 1 to 1.5, you close out 80% of your trade, move your stop loss to break even, and trail the trade down until the London kill zone is over. Pretty simple. So if we would have kept this trade running, let me drag this down here, move it to the top, and we entered right on this bearish candle, would be almost a 4 risk reward. It's a 3.55 risk reward. Okay, it's not almost a 4 risk reward, sorry about that, but we got a 3.5 risk reward during the London session, and we are done for the day. You don't afterwards need to force yourself trading the New York session. You're done. You could have made possibly 3.5% on this trade. Alright, here we have the price action during the London kill zone on Thursday, October the 13th, starting at 2 AM New York local time, ending at 5 AM New York local time. That's the previous day of the example we just looked at. So let's see what we got here. So we started into this kill zone with a bearish Scalper Pro, but we see the stochastic RSI is already in the oversold area. So we are not looking to take trades in here, and we see what did we get? Just some ugly consolidation. Here we got a nice bearish engulfing, but we did not get the stochastic RSI crossover yet. We are below the EMA and we are below the VWAP. So now what we would have done is we would have entered right on this candle, because right here we had a bearish Scalper Pro. We are below VWAP and EMA this time, and we have the stochastic RSI crossing over bearish above the 50 level. So if it's crossing exactly on the 50 level, I'm always a bit, nah, I rather not take this trade. Sometimes it's working out really well and I'm not chasing it. I'm just happy with not taking this trade, because it's not really the perfect setup that I want to take. And I'm really patient. I'm not chasing the market. I'm not running after trades. I let the trade come to me, and only if it's a nice setup, I'm taking it. So here we got this bearish crossover on the stochastic, and we would have entered a short position here with our stop loss right above here, and we see pretty quickly our stop loss would have been hit. So this was a little reversal bounce. But what do we see? Right afterwards, we saw the Scalper Pro turning bullish right on this candle, right on the candle where we almost lost. So we wait for one more candle, and now on this candle, on this bullish candle, we had a bullish stochastic RSI cross below the 50 level, above the VWAP, and almost made it above the 144 EMA. But that's good enough for me, because I don't really care about the EMA, because it's such a lagging and delayed indicator. I rather prefer the VWAP, the volume weighted average price, that's also taking in volume into this whole strategy. So we would have entered a long position here, and now placing your stop loss could get a little bit trickier. For example, I would use the body and I just measure, okay, that's a 70 point stop loss, or yeah, 70 point stop loss, looking for a 1 to 1.5, and our target would have been hit 10 minutes after the London kill zone is over, and we had a 1.5% profit here. And if you risk 1% here, you would have lost 1% here, but overall you still made 0.5% profit, and depending of where you place your stop loss here. So it's always a thing of, for example, if you would use the bottom of this wick here, you almost have 95 points in stop loss. And now you would be looking for a almost 150 point move just for it to take your profit. And usually during the London session, prices don't move by this much. So what I'm trying to do, if I get a big explosive setup, is I try to move my stop loss closer to my entry. For example, it could have been the VWAP, it could have been the top of this wick, it could have been the body low here, so basically the opening price, and you would have hit a 1 to 1.5 risk reward. And if you look at it, we actually formed a pretty good entry here, almost a low of the day. On this day we had the CPI news and we just dropped afterwards. But if you would have had, for example, closed out 80% of this trade and you would have let it run up, you could have almost let it run up to a 4.8 risk to reward before closing out the trade. And even, of course, you would have been stopped out here, but you would have already made so much profit, and you take partials, you take another 10% off at 2.2 risk to reward, and you take another 5% off at 3 risk to reward, and another 5%, the last 5% at 4 risk to reward. You can trail those trades, and you just gotta be patient, and yeah, don't chase the market. Let those setups come towards you. Even though we had a small loser here, we still managed to make decent profit. Now another great example. So we saw our consolidation range again around New York midnight Asian session. So we consolidated very small amount of volume in the market. London session started and we had this, compared to previous candles, compared to the perhaps 20 candles before this massive bearish candle, almost no volume at all. Lots of volume coming into the market when exactly at 2 a.m. New York local time, which is also the Frankfurt opening of the German foreign currency market basically. So we saw we crossed below the VWAP, but we see that the stochastic RSI on this exact candle is already so close to the oversold area that we are not interested in getting into the market right at this point. Of course, it would have still worked out, but it could have also went above, grabbed some liquidity above those relative equal highs and stop you out. So we are a little bit more patient. You can take this setup if you want, but like I said, we are not here to chase the market. We are here to stalk and wait for our perfect setup to appear on one of your 4 instruments you're looking at, and then we take it and execute it with perfection. So we continue waiting until we get our stochastic RSI bearish crossover. Alright, and right on this candle here, we got our bearish crossover on the stochastic RSI. Here we still had some minor consolidation, looking forward for a continuation move. And now this massive candle would have been our entry. For example, here you could wait for a little pullback back to the VWAP, because now we're also below the EMA. But if you don't want to, you could have also placed your stop loss around the most recent swing high, right around it's still more than like less than half of the London session kill zone. So we place our stop loss here and we move our take profit level down to 1.5 risk to reward, which would have been hit beautifully by 5:55 AM New York local time, with plenty of time before the New York kill zone is even starting. Alright guys, here's one more example, because I really want to make sure that you guys get what I'm doing with the strategy. I know it's going to be a long video, but I'm promising you it's going to be worth it if you execute it right. And that's why I'm trying to really push the point of you going into replay mode and testing it and learning yourself. Take screenshots of each individual setup and learn from it. Record it, track it, and even if you trade it live now, record your trades, keep a journal. It's so important if you want to become a consistently profitable trader. It's pretty much inevitable. Alright guys, but let's go back to the setup. So we see that we again had this consolidation after the Asian session right around New York midnight, sorry. So we had this consolidation here. We're right in this consolidation, and now the London kill zone started. So now we are looking and waiting for our setup to appear. So right here we saw we are above the VWAP and we are above the 144 EMA here colored in yellow. So now we closed on the EMA, so we're below the VWAP, but we see, and the Scalper Pro is red, but the stochastic RSI is already in the oversold territory right here below 20. So we are not interested in that. We keep waiting and we see price kept pulling back up. And now we also got a bearish divergence confirmation on the Scalper Pro. So now we already know that we are looking for a short setup. We wouldn't take this long by any chance. So now we're waiting for the first red candle to appear, and we want to see the stochastic RSI crossing over above the 50 level. Perfect ideal scenario would be above the 80 level. We want to see that crossover like right here. And on the following candle, we had a little doji. So we sit there and we wait patiently for the next candle, because price could easily continue back up. Alright guys, so on the next candle followed after this little doji was printed, we had the Scalper Pro turning bearish, red color. And we also get that red color on the candles. And we had our stochastic RSI crossover one candle before that, and that's still alright. Even one or two candles, that's usually the maximum amount of time I'm giving it. So the only thing where I wouldn't take the setup anymore, if the stochastic RSI is already in the oversold zone again. So I really want to see, even if I'm waiting one or two candles, I'm not waiting longer than two candles, because I don't want to sell it if we're already in the oversold area, if price is already considered oversold by the stochastic RSI. So we would place our short entry right on this candle. At the close of this candle, we are below the VWAP. We move our stop loss to those highs here. Give it a little bit of wiggle room for the spread, because you also have to keep spread in mind. And then we are targeting a 1 to 1.5 risk reward. And this trade would have played out in less than, right around half an hour. And now, what could have you done? You could have either leave your stop loss where it is, or move it to break even and keep the trade trailing it down for a total risk reward of almost 4 risk to reward. which is pretty good. So there's no right or wrong with which risk reward you are going to choose. I'm backtested it with 1 to 1.5 risk reward and 1 to 2 risk reward. And I saw that there's basically no difference in net profit after 6 months of backtesting. So I like to play it safe. I rather go with the 1 to 1.5 risk reward ratio and trail my trades. So I'm moving my stop loss to break even, or sometimes I'm even leaving my stop loss in position if I'm so confident that price is not going to go against me. But to play it safe and secure your profits, I'd suggest you to move your stop loss to break even, maybe a little bit below break even to cover your commissions and everything. Also keep in mind you're going to be facing spread with every broker. And yeah, another great short setup after a beautiful New York midnight consolidation range. Alright guys, here we are in my live trading results Excel sheet using the Scalper Pro stochastic RSI strategy during the London kill zone basically. So started using it early on, August 21, September, October, November, and then December I didn't trade, and then January, February, March. And March during week 3 and week 4 I did a FTMO challenge, and I passed this FTMO challenge without any problems. I had a total of 23 trades with I used the 1 to 1.5 risk reward with a win rate of 69%, making a total of 17% gain on account during my FTMO challenge. And I pretty much passed it very early on, not even needing all 4 weeks that FTMO is offering you to pass the challenge, and started to make real profits with the strategy. So I'm gonna share the link to this backtesting sheet in the description below. I'm gonna upload it to the Google Drive. And so just to make it clear, for example, the win rate, there are 2 different lines here. The first line is always going to be a 1 to 1.5 risk to reward ratio. And the second line is going to be a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. So we can see the difference. If we go for a 1.5 risk reward, we had a 87% win rate in week 1 of January with a total amount of trades 8. And yeah, won 87% of those trades, making a total profit of 9.5% gain on account. And if I would have gone for the 2 risk to reward, I would have made 0.5% more profit, but I would have lost around 12% on my win rate. And I like to keep my win rate up high. It's just for my mentality and for my mindset while I'm trading, because I don't like losing too oftenly. So yeah, that's why I go for the 1 to 1.5 risk reward ratio, because the win rate tends to be higher than on the 1 to 2 risk reward ratio. Yeah, so here are the backtesting results. Here's another sheet. I tested it on different instruments like German 30, the DAX. I tested it on US oil for 2 months. I tested it on gold, but I didn't end up filling it out. So yeah, now here are the backtesting results. And yeah, I hope you liked this video. If you have any questions, make sure to join our Discord and our Telegram chat, because yeah, that's where I'm gonna be and answering all your questions. You can also drop your questions in the comments below, and I do my best answering all those questions, because I consider myself a pro at using this strategy. I mean, I came up with it and I created the Scalper Pro indicator. So yeah, I'm happy to answer all your questions. If you don't have access to the Scalper Pro indicator yet, you can simply go onto our website. It's accumulationszone.com, and you can sign up for a free trial there. And that is it for me. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next Accumulation Zone video.